What's going on, guys? Mackenzie Long here. So more information coming out about the PHP acquisition by Integrity Marketing Group and what's going on with Patrick Bet-David and some of the things that happened, some of the agreements, and basically how the acquisition happened. So I'm interested to talk about, and then also some other interesting news as other companies are getting acquired by Integrity as well. So I just did a video not too long ago on PHP being acquired by Integrity, and I gave some of my projections or thoughts on kind of what was going on and what was going to happen. I have some updated information on that. And according to some inside sources and people that I really trust, there's more information about what happened with Patrick and kind of what he's planning on doing. And it seems to be pretty close to what I was guessing was going on, except for I think the deal for Patrick was worse than I expected. So let's kind of do a little bit of a recap. So Integrity Marketing Group has now acquired Family First Life. They've also taken Tom Dempsey from WFG. They recruited him over to start running a lot of their divisions as far as Integrity Marketing Group goes. And now they've also acquired PHP. Patrick Bet-David is basically giving up control of PHP. And so the rumor is that Patrick Bet-David didn't actually get a lot of equity for it. There wasn't a lot of money in the deal. It was mostly that he's getting a percentage of ownership. But basically the requirements from what I'm understanding is actually going to be that there needs to be some tremendous growth in the company, that it's going to be based on the growth, not just on it kind of maintaining, or if it kind of degrades, then would he get much out of it? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. And the reason why I think that's going to be kind of challenging is some of the things we're going to talk about here in just a minute. Now, I don't have the details on the FFL acquisition. However, I'm assuming it's probably kind of the same thing because I'm seeing a common thread here, a common trend. And the reason why this is getting really interesting is because all of these companies do the marketing of their insurance products very different. The clients that they're talking to, how they get their clients, the structures of the companies, the leadership, everything is entirely different when you look at the way that these companies are designed and the way that they function. Now, all of these companies are going to be under this same group. However, it's now lacking the majority of the leadership who is running these companies. And these companies are very different. It's not the way that a traditional company works because most of these people are entrepreneurs. They're working either full-time, or majority of them are going to be working part-time as they're getting out of their 9-to-5. They're building an agency. So these guys' thought process is very different. So to have a company like Integrity, who's very corporate, running things is going to be really interesting because you can't just pull the leadership out and then have corporate people trying to manage entrepreneurial people. I just don't see how that's going to function very well. Now, you can have a system where both of those work together, but you got to have powerful leadership in between the two of those so that they can relay a message to corporate, kind of make sure all of those things are in place, but then also relay that message to their people, because that's very, very different. Imagine a CEO type person from Integrity coming into a bunch of entrepreneurs in their meetings and trying to manage them like they would an employee. I just don't see how that's going to work very well. And Patrick really seems to be more interested, like I mentioned in the other video, of his other things that he has going on. He's been getting really big in social media, his valuetainment, he's being paid to go out and speak in different places. So it sounds like he's much more focused on that than he is going to be working with people, helping people. So what generally happens when a main figure like that, especially when you're the main leader of a company like that, it has a really hard time on those people who are there because they're generally there because of the personality of the leadership. They like Patrick, they like the things that he does, they like being led by him, and now a lot of that is kind of being disseminated and there's not a lot of leadership in that company. And I'm wondering if it's very much the same thing for FFL and what's going to be happening with Shawn. That's going to get pretty interesting, especially when they try to pull these guys into anything even remotely similar to each other. It's going to be interesting that they have the same parents, but yet they operate very differently. I think it's going to get very confusing, not just for the people who are working for PHP or FFL, but also for integrity and the way that they're able to do that. Maybe they are pretty smart, maybe they're pretty powerful, they can figure out how to kind of keep those things separate, but that's going to be really interesting. And to add to it, they've now acquired another company, and I didn't want to do a whole video specifically on this because it's HGI. Nobody really knows who they are. They're so small. I think they just had a big event recently. It was like 1,100 people showed up or something. But anyway, that's Hubert Humphrey's new thing. So Hubert Humphrey was the one that started WFG. Actually, it was WMA, got acquired by Transamerica and Aegon, became WFG, with Hubert Humphrey kind of being out of the mix of that. He had a disclosure where he basically couldn't compete. I think it was like 20 years or something. So now he's come back into the industry and he's kind of trying to start his own thing. However, the challenge is he's now in his 80s, and I doubt he has the same energy he did when he was in his 20s and 30s starting the other company. So it just hasn't really flourished that much, but it just makes the dynamic of this entire thing very interesting. And they're very different personalities, from Shawn to Hubert to Patrick, but David, all very, very different, all very strong personalities. And I don't know how well that's going to work, if they're going to try to expect these guys to work together, or if they're all kind of just selling their deal, getting out and going and doing something else. And from my understanding, the rumor of it behind it is that they're actually trying to do something with WFG. They're trying to take over World Financial Group. Now, I don't see that happening. I could be very wrong on that, but I really don't see that happening. But that makes sense because of Tom going over to Integrity. So there must have been some kind of communication between Tom and Integrity that would probably allude to them wanting or having some interest in WFG. Now, this is going to be really interesting in talking about all of their contracts and going over, because from what I understand, it's all about growth. So Tom, Shawn, Patrick, Hubert, really all the contracts that they signed are about these companies really taking off. And I don't know if I really see that. Tom got a lot of benefit for what WFG did over the last couple of years and the tremendous growth that they've had, but their growth has never really been from a president or from the corporate side. It might help with making things easier or bring in different programs, but it is never run by the president of the company. It's really the leadership inside of it that makes the big difference. So I think Tom got a lot of kudos for that, which great for him. He probably got a great contract to go over there, and so he probably kind of had to do it because I think that time frame is going to be fairly short. But I don't think that's going to impact WFG very much. I mean, they've had tons of presidents, all these companies do, and it's kind of a revolving door. It's kind of the normal way that it goes because they're very corporate. They don't really know how to manage entrepreneurs. So the idea behind it being, which would be kind of interesting, is if Integrity Marketing Group is trying to do some kind of acquisition with WFG. Now, I don't see that happening because WFG likes its independence. I don't think Transamerica and Aegon would want to do that. It's the largest portion of all of their business. Aegon operates in 20 countries, owns tons of different operations as far as insurance and retirement and all of that other stuff. And the biggest one of them by far is WFG. So I don't really see them doing that into the future. I think it would hurt everything else that they have going on, the sales through Transamerica, everything else. So it just doesn't really seem to make sense for WFG to want to do that. And they're really the only one that's thrived through the pandemic. So they're not really in a position where they would even need to do that. And if you were to combine all the companies that we've talked about earlier, WFG is 5 to 6 times bigger than all of those companies combined. So it's going to get really interesting. What's going to get really confusing for a lot of those people is they might say that they're recruiting to Integrity, but they're really not. They're part of PHP or FFL. So if you start getting approached by them, now you can kind of understand what's going on and who the heck this company is. They probably work for one of those subsidiaries. They're not working for Integrity. And I really think it's all going to be kind of in vain, Integrity kind of trying to go after WFG or try to compete with WFG, simply because I feel like, and this is just my personal opinion, and I don't know what's actually going on with WFG, just kind of the stuff that you can see, but it looks like their numbers are doing pretty well. But you look at the other 3 companies and they're kind of, in my opinion, sinking ships, or they're kind of just floating. They're not really doing a lot of growth. So it seems like Integrity has attached themselves to them and I don't think they're going to do all that well, especially when you remove leadership from the equation. But who knows? We'll see what happens. This is just kind of my opinion. I'm just a guy on YouTube, you know, making videos for fun. But who knows what's actually going to happen? But that's kind of my prediction for the future and where things are going to go. So we'll see. But I think those companies are going to have a really hard time. I think those people are going to be struggling, especially without all of the leadership, which is just going to make those companies kind of fall apart and dissolve like they normally do. This is a normal process in the insurance and financial services world. It's kind of what they do every couple of years. A new one comes in, and then within a few years they're gone, and they kind of just repeat that cycle over and over again. The people who ends up failing, they go start a new company and try to do it over again with a little bit different way of doing it, and it just kind of gets repeated over and over again. So anyway, I hope this was helpful for you to kind of understand some of the stuff that's going on with Integrity Marketing Group and all these companies that are getting acquired by them. Make sure you smash the like button and also hit the subscribe as well. And if you do hit the subscribe button, make sure you comment down below that you subscribed, and then that way I can reach out to you and thank you personally. Also, if you didn't know, we have our giveaway going on right now where we are giving away over $50,000 in financial literacy around the How Money Works book. We have just had so much success with this between our clients and our agents, and it's just such a great way, and I think it's a great way to provide value to people, and that's always been the way that I've done business. Even when I was building race cars and working on cars, I always believed in giving value for what I did, and because of that, it's really blessed my life. And I want to, and our team wants to, give away over $50,000 in financial literacy resources to those people who are interested. So you can either go online and buy this book. I highly recommend it wherever you are in your financial journey. We've used this with clients at millions of dollars, and we've used this with clients who are saving their first $100, and all of them have been impacted largely by it. So it doesn't matter where you're at, this book will help you, and will help you with it as your communication tool when you start working with a financial professional, so you know what to look for, whether they're good or not. It's kind of your behind the scenes look, if you will, of how your financial plan should be set up so that you know whether you're doing it right or not. Maybe you're taking some of those things in your own hand, you're working on your education. It's really, really great, and it's got 7 money milestones that tell you exactly where you're at. So if you want to buy it, there's a link also down below for Amazon that you can purchase the book if you want. It's usually about 26 bucks. Or if you want us to send you one and some additional resources, make sure you fill out the link down below. It's a MailChimp link, so it's going to take you to a MailChimp website to have you fill out some of that information so that we can reach out to you and get you some of those resources. Anyway, as always, I hope you have a great day, and I will catch you later. Bye.